Hi everyone! The topic of this video is 10 common errors and confusing words in English. If you're not an English speaker, chances are that you might be learning the language the wrong way, and sometimes it can be really difficult. You should follow definite sources to improve your English grammar and vocabulary. So let's see if you're aware of these common English vocabulary errors. In this video, I'll talk about 10 common errors and confusing words in English. Using English without such errors is an important part to master in order to improve your exam scores. I'd like to start with the most common error we as instructors encounter in your writing parts of your exam papers, which is parallel structure. Here's an example. I like hiking, swimming, and biking. I like hiking to swim and biking. Can you spot the mistake here? Here is another example. I was asked to write my report quickly and accurately. I was asked to write my report quickly and in an accurate manner. In the first sentence, you can see the parallel structure is not used to make a sentence. In the second one, of course, it disrespects parallel structure. You should always use the same pattern to make a sentence like this. Whether you're writing an opinion essay or an argumentative essay or an informative essay, you need a thesis statement. Without a thesis, your argument falls flat and your information is unfocused. Since a thesis is so important, it's probably a good idea to look at some tips on how to put together a strong one. You can be really careful while you're writing your thesis statements in your essays. In thesis statements, you generally list your supporting ideas, and while you're doing this, you need to use parallel structure. Let's look at the first example. Game of Thrones is one of the richest works of the century because it offers an escape from reality, teaches readers history, and contains a lot of vibrant characters. In the example of this thesis, you can see my opinion about Game of Thrones followed by 3 clear reasons. This thesis is perfect for setting up a tidy 3-paragraph essay. Parallel structure is used to connect sentences here. As you can see, it offers an escape from reality, teaches readers history, and contains a lot of vibrant characters. In the second example here, high levels of alcohol consumption have damaging effects on your health, such as weight gain, heart disease, and addiction. As you can see, parallel structure is used to connect noun phrases here. Here is another example. Reading develops a child's mind by developing comprehension skills, increasing vocabulary, and exposing them to new words. Again, parallel structure is used to connect noun phrases here. Let's look at another example to connect nouns. When searching for a new home, you should know that there are 3 important factors: location, price, and neighbors. As you can see, parallel structure is used to connect nouns here. The second common error we usually encounter is errors related with subject-verb agreement with collective nouns. If the sentence shows more individuality, you would use a plural verb. But if the noun is acting as a unit, use a singular verb. Please look at the example. The team. Now we're talking about the team itself. We should use a plural verb because we are talking about more individuality. Are eating with their families. But in the second one, we're talking about that it is acting as a unit. The team is heading. For practice, we should use a singular verb. With a prepositional phrase, use a verb tense that corresponds to the subject, like this one. Nearly 1 in 4 people is Turkish. Now 1 is the subject, so we use a singular verb is. In the second one, 25% of people are Turkish. Now we used fractions, and for fractions and percentages, we can use singular or plural depending on the prepositional phrase that follows. People, for example, is plural, so we use are. Apostrophes are commonly confused. Please look at these examples to compare the differences. The girls are at home, the girls' home, the girls' home. When talking about more than one person or object, there is no apostrophe like this one. Chairs, more than one chair, boys, more than one boy, and suitcases, more than one suitcase. In the first example, the meaning is changed based on the placement. I will explain all of them. The apostrophe with an S is added to show possession, like this one, the girl's home. It gives information about the possession. It answers the question, whose home? The girl's home. If you say the student's notebook, we are talking about that the notebook belongs to the student. Likewise, an apostrophe is added after a plural word to show possession of that plural noun, like the girl's home. We are talking about that the home belongs to more than one girl. Or you can say the student's notebook. Now we are talking about one notebook belonging to more than one student. But if we say the student's notebook, we put them after S, we're talking about there is one notebook belonging to more than one student. We generally see mistakes related with capitalization, and here are some basic rules about how to capitalize titles. First, always capitalize the first and the last word. Second, capitalize nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. And lastly, don't capitalize articles, prepositions shorter than 5 letters, or coordinating conjunctions. And here are some examples. A year in Paris, as you can see, in as a preposition is not capitalized, but the first and the last word are capitalized. In the second one, life of a great man, as you can see, the first and the last word are capitalized, but of and a, like prepositions and articles, aren't capitalized. The last one, how to wash your dog, you can see the first and the last word are capitalized again, but to is not capitalized. There are also many rules about this topic, and there are also exceptions, so it is best to look it up if you are unsure of something while you're using headings. The second common mistake is related to among versus between. Among is used to express a loose relationship of several items. So if you're using among, there are several items. But if you're using between, it expresses the relationship of one item to another item. You can see this example. I found a pen hidden among the papers on the desk. I found a pen hidden between the papers on the desk. If you're using between, there's a relationship between one item to another, but if you're using among, there are several items. The next mistake is commonly made is about effect and effect. This is really simple because effect is noun, but effect is verb. Cold weather affected the crops. As you can see, it is in the verb form. Exposure to the sun had the effect of damaging the skin. You can see it is used as noun. The next one is about good versus well. This is also simple because the word good is an adjective, but the word well is an adverb. Look at this example. How are you today? How would you answer this? You should say, I'm doing well if you want to use an adverb. You can say, I feel good today if you want to use an adjective. The next common mistake is about historic and historical. Historic means famous, but historical means related to history. If you say, what a historic building, that means you're talking about a famous building. But if you say Ephesus is one of the most famous historical places in Turkey, if you say historical, that means you're talking about something related to history. So this is the difference between historic as famous and historical is related to history. Grammatically speaking, both historic and historical are adjectives, by the way. However, they are not related to each other. The next one is lie versus lay. You will compare these two sentences. Lie down and lay. You lie down on the sofa, you lay the book down on the table. Can you spot the difference between them? If you don't, let me explain it. The second one has a direct object, like book, but the first sentence doesn't. By the way, lie down means resting, relaxing, but lay is lay is to place something, to leave something to somewhere. However, I want you to look at those examples. Last week you lay down on the couch. Last week you laid the book on the table. It is really confusing because you should also see the forms of present, past, and past participle tenses. It just so happens that the past tense of the verb to lie is the same as the present tense of the verb to lay. You just have to memorize it. And another confusing point is about numbers. In English, numbers greater than 1,000 and up to 10,000 can be written in two ways. 1,000 like this, with a full stop or a comma. Numbers above 10,000 can be written by using a comma in the following way, like this. You should use a comma if you're using numbers above 10,000. Decimals and money amounts can be written by using a period in a following way, like this. 7 and 24 hundredths, 2 and 14 hundredths, $1.37. So you should use a full stop, a period, to use those numbers. It was the end of the video. Now, you'll not do such errors and you will master in order to improve your exam scores. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for joining my class, and for more information, please visit our website.